Alrighty, welcome back to the channel, everybody. We're back on the internet together again today. First story and the main story we're going to talk through today. Police hunting alleged attackers after the Melbourne Luna Park machete attack. Now, this was kept very, very quiet. You didn't see this one out there as a major story. And this was, I think, a story from late last week. So that would have been around mid-October. Didn't do the rounds at all. They've got to keep these machete attacks quiet.
Brawl outside Luna Park. Police are hunting the masked offenders as locals demand more police patrols as the weather warms up. Crime reporter Gillian Lantouris.
Armed thugs on the run after a vicious stabbing. Luna Park becoming the backdrop of a machete attack.
We were sitting at the
I like how they don't show much footage at all because they don't want to draw attention to the features of the people, the backgrounds, the heritages.
Dining table, and we watched 5 police cars arrive into St Kilda. It was pretty hectic.
3 teenagers
Fully
got into
sick.
an argument with another gang inside the amusement park yesterday afternoon. Security kicked out the offending group, but at 6:30 they clashed again.
In spring, St Kilda does go a bit crazy.
The 3 teenagers, aged 17 and 18, were slashed with machetes before the offenders fled in a grey Land Rover. As the group sped off, their car collided with another vehicle, then disappeared towards the city.
I'm actually quite surprised. It's a very safe area normally. You know, there's people.
You got to be joking, right? There's all sorts going around St Kilda. So for those of you who aren't from Melbourne, a very high rate of drug addicts, prostitution, etc. in the area. It's not known for being a place that you go and hang out in the middle of the night, so to speak. It's always been known that if you go out in St Kilda, you can be expecting somewhat, if you're walking around the streets, especially as a group of men, you could be up for a bit of spot of trouble. Especially if you're looking for it, you're going to get it. The bigger question I have here, who goes to Luna Park? I've been to Luna Park in 20 years or more. And when I went there, it wasn't the greatest experience. That's, for those of you who don't know what Luna Park is, that is the Disneyland of Melbourne.
People with fairy floss normally down there eating fairy floss.
The trio was treated for slash wounds but didn't need to go to hospital.
everyone's down there
Nine News understands.
Everyone's down there eating fairy floss. No, they're really shooting up heroin on the beach.
One of the offenders recorded their antics.
It is video after video after video every night of machetes on the streets all the way across Victoria, and the government failing to answer the call to bring in Jack's Law.
The violence unfolded in front of dozens of people waiting to see a comedy show at the Palais Theatre. Locals are hoping police step up their patrols in this area, especially as the warmer months approach.
This is shocking behaviour. It won't be tolerated.
Gillian Lantouris, 9 News.
Yeah, alrighty. So, those machete bins, how are those working out, Jacinta? She didn't comment on those. There probably would be one in St Kilda. There's a police station right there. Maybe they could have gone and put their machetes in there before they made a decision to start a fight. Anyway, it doesn't look like these machete attacks, these groups of lunatics, are going anywhere anytime soon. The only machetes that the government is going to collect are going to be those of law-abiding citizens who don't want to get in trouble. You know, you got a machete in the back shed and grandma and grandpa don't want ASIO coming in and looking for it, so they go and put it into the machete bin. That's who's putting them in. Another very disturbing story. This is breaking news. So by the time you watch this, I make these the day before, guys. It'll be about a day old. You may have seen it already. But an Asian grocer on the north side of Melbourne has been trashed by a group of armed teenagers. Pretty confronting footage in here. As I said, people say, oh, you're coming up with the narrative. You're saying the place is dangerous. I don't have to search too far to find these stories. Every single day, multiple stories of some sort of violence, some sort of violent crime. Makes my job easy making these videos.
A Northland business owner says he feared for his life after coming face to face with a teen brandishing a machete. A gang stormed the shopping centre using various weapons to smash up the Asian grocer. Crime reporter Gillian Lantouris with this exclusive report.
Teenagers on a rampage, a crowbar and a cricket bat used to destroy anything within reach. Those inside the Northland store thought they were going to die.
That's the worst part. Everyone could be killed.
The trio smashed the register. A staff member was kicked in the back and went to hospital, while customers were terrorised at...
There you go, future doctors and engineers, guys. But in all seriousness, not tongue-in-cheek, I mean, when you see the majority of these violent crimes that we're seeing, I mean, the evidence speaks for itself. The images speak for themselves. We've been told for years and years and years that there is no youth crime problem, especially youth gangs from minority backgrounds. There is. It's absolutely out of control. Now, you can't really tell where they're from. They don't look like African kids to me, which seem to be the major culprits, especially on that side of town when it comes to violent raids on stores, attacks with machetes, etc. It goes to show you that they just don't give a stuff. They don't care. There's no sort of danger from them, from the police, that let us go and do this.
Fortune Asian supermarket.
We have no idea how to stop them, and they just go on us.
The group raided the shop around 7 last night in what's understood to be an act of revenge after a teenage girl was thrown out for assaulting a cashier earlier in the day. She returned with backup. The owner is a new dad and says he was also threatened with a machete.
My family is my main part. I will do anything for them. It's just too much.
Violence continues to plague Northland. In May, shoppers ran for their lives from rival gangs armed with machetes. In June, it was a car that terrorised...
Far out. I didn't even see this one. They got a bloody car driving through there. I mean, people are watching playing too much Grand Theft Auto the way that society is carrying on at the moment. It's completely bonkers.
As shoppers. Each time there's an incident at Northland Shopping Centre, Homer says sales decline because customers are too scared.
No shit.
He is calling on the local community to support businesses like his in its time of need. The attackers are on the run. Gillian Lantouris, 9 News.
Far out. Well, they need to be bloody locked up ASAP. All right, we've got another one.
First, let's go to those shocking scenes out of Melbourne.
Let's not worry about that. We've got the next video. Man arrested after suspected carjacking. This is in Geelong.
A highly agitated man who tried to carjack several shoppers during a terrifying rampage in a Geelong Bunnings car park has been arrested in a dramatic police swoop. Ollie Haig is covering this story and joins us live now from Norlane. Ollie, how did this all unfold?
Well, Alicia, a pretty extraordinary ending here in a Bunnings car park just outside Geelong this afternoon. I want to take you straight to some pictures taken by 9 News cameras this afternoon of a man in his 20s arrested outside Bunnings, bloodied and bruised and surrounded by police. Now, it follows a pretty extraordinary crime.
Now they go and waste taxpayers' money on paying for a paramedic for the absolute fuckwit.
Spree across Melbourne. Police say that that man and a woman were seen inside a stolen Haval on Dorcas Street in South Melbourne at about 1:15 this afternoon. That vehicle was then tracked along the Princess Freeway where it eventually came here to the Bunnings in Norlane. And police will allege that duo then attempted to carjack 4 vehicles. I've spoken to a neighbour.
Looks like he's probably on the shard or something like that. He's cooking off the glass barbecue, off his guts, off chops.
A witness here in Norlane this afternoon who didn't want to speak on camera. He saw 2 of them and said that when this vehicle arrived, that vehicle nearly collided into a woman who was getting a pram out of that vehicle. There was also a fist fight between one of the drivers, so clearly that person was putting up a fight before police swiftly arrested these 2 individuals, a 20-year-old man from Abbotsford and a 25-year-old woman from Abbotsford as well. As you saw from those pictures before, that man seen been bloodied and bruised outside the Bunnings. That 25-year-old woman actually tried to flee inside the Bunnings behind me before police eventually caught up with her. So, Alicia, some pretty terrifying events that occurred inside of Bunnings, what should have been a fairly normal afternoon down here in Geelong this afternoon. Those two individuals are right now being questioned by police and no charges have been.
What are you talking about, mate? It is a normal afternoon in Melbourne, Victoria. I know Geelong or Corio, that's not in Melbourne. Out of Melbourne. Standard in this state, what's going on now, especially those outer suburbs. Off chops, a lot of drugs and stuff out there. All right, halfway. If you're enjoying the content, consider subbing to the channel, like, comment and share. And if you want to support the channel further, there are ways to do so in the video description. All right, let's keep going. Now, this is Kevin Rudd copping it from Donald Trump, and I loved it.
Anthony Albanese has met US President Donald Trump in a face-to-face meeting at the White House this morning. The two leaders signed a major $8.5 billion rare earths deal.
And our economic relationship is so important. The US has a trade surplus with Australia, as you know, and we can continue to take what is every opportunity to improve the relationship even further and make it even stronger. And today's agreement on critical minerals and rare earths is just taking it to the next level. Today will be seen as a really significant day in our relationship.
The AUKUS Defence Pact was also on the agenda as the US President gave his support for the submarine deal, claiming it's, quote, moving along rapidly.
Pretty sure Trump and Elbow aren't mates.
And now we're starting, we have it all set. With Anthony, we've worked on this long and hard, and we're starting that process right now, and I think it's really moving along very rapidly, very well.
Any guarantee Australia will get the vote?
Oh, it's getting, oh no, they're getting. Mr. President.
However, in what was a very awkward moment, President Trump scolded Australia's ambassador to the US, Kevin Rudd, who was at the cabinet table, following a question by our political editor, Andrew Clennell.
Been concerned in Australia that it's taken 9 months to get this meeting. Have you had any concerns with this administration, with the stance on Palestine, climate change, or even things the ambassador said about you in the past, the Australian ambassador?
I don't know anything about him. I mean, if he said bad, then maybe he'll like to apologize. I really don't know. Did an ambassador say something bad about him? Don't tell me. Where is he? Is he still working for you?
Yeah.
You said bad?
Before I took this position, Mr. President.
I don't like you either. I don't, and I probably never will.
Cop that, Rudd. Talk shit, comes back to get you. Love it. Like a little kid who got caught out telling a fib. Is Kevin Rudd rocking a beard these days? He's looking pretty trendy. The old K Rudd.
After a mostly friendly meeting, the Prime Minister invited the US President to Australia for talks and perhaps even a trip to the Gulf for the President's Cup.
Trump says he doesn't like Kevin Rudd. Well, I don't think many people do. All right, let's keep going. So this is another story, and this is about Generation Z wising up on Labor's mass migration problem, policies, and how that's impacting their futures. I thought this was an interesting opinion piece.
Joining us now is skynews.com.au columnist Louise Roberts. Louise, thank you for joining us.
Great to see you as always, Gabriella.
Before we get into all the royal news, you've written a really interesting piece for our website about how Gen Z are starting to really wake up to the impact mass migration is having here in Australia, considering there's been a jump of 24% in the number of young Aussies who want a temporary migration pause. That's a significant shift.
It is a significant shift because it's only happened in the last 12 months. And I think the important thing about Gen Z, which is that 18 to 24-year-old age group, is that politicians have relied on them or assumed that they're the bleeding heart generation and will be happy with any level of migration. Open the borders, we have to support everyone. But this is very much a case of economic reality overriding ideology, I think.
Yeah, I mean, she does make a point. I think Labor does bet on people having bleeding hearts. But I think when these Gen Zers grow up or are starting growing up and coming into adulthood, they realise that decisions in life come with a cost, that some government policies like this are just bad. And it's good for the government because they're getting all the tax revenue out of it, all the costs for visas, all that sort of stuff, all the other ancillary revenues they're going to get out of that whole process. You know who it's not good for? Young people. It's horrible for young people. It is more or less stealing the futures of these young people if they don't come from means to be able to be supported by a family to get a roof over their head, let alone being able to even find a rental. Renting a property used to be seen as a stepping stone. You rented for a little bit and then you bought. But renting wasn't the long-term game and just about anyone could do it. Now, you're lucky if you can get a rental. You've got hundreds of people lining up out the front of many different, especially popular suburbs for apartments, nothing special. And they're paying an arm and a leg for them, $800 a week for a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment in Sydney. You've got to be joking. So before you can even get a place to rent, then once you are lucky enough to get it, you've got to pay a full wage to pay for the thing. And I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I think it's bonkers. And I get people in my comments saying it all the time and writing me emails because I always bring this point up. That people will say to me, migration has no impact on the housing market. You have got to be kidding me, don't you? I've never heard anything more nonsensical. I really have not. More people coming in means more accommodation that people need to either rent or buy. We're not keeping up. We're falling behind. What does that do? It drives the prices up for everybody. And I'm going to get back off my tangent now and back off my soapbox. The point that I was trying to make is unless you come from means, you got parents, the bank of mum and dad, who can help you out with 50 or 100 grand. It's not even 50 anymore. It's probably 1 or 200 grand to help you out with a deposit, so you can get a place, an entry level place. What is an entry level house going to cost you these days? Any 800 plus, and that's if you go something modest, 800. 1 million if it's pretty nice, like a townhouse somewhere. $1 million, and I'm talking 40 kilometers outside of the city. Anything closer than that, well, the price just rises exponentially. I'm talking about Melbourne here. How many people are out there with parents who can give them 100 or 200 grand? Yeah, it happens. You hear about it happening. The rest of the people are going to fall in between the cracks. Not going to be able to buy a home. Going to be lifelong renters. I think that's what people are starting to realise. Oh, now all my power bills and everything's going up because there's more demand on our infrastructure. And also, these companies can get away with charging you whatever you want because people will buy it anyway. That's why whenever I've tried to have an argument with somebody who talks about, oh, the government should pay for this for people and do this for people and, you know, everyone should be on UBI. It's like, who's going to pay for this shit? Ultimately, you do. It ruins your quality of life.
It could be, you know, we were talking earlier about Charlie Kirk's influence, that 100%. It's not racist or nationalist to actually want to protect your own standard of living. They're not being racist. They're not saying no to migrants. They're just saying, which older generations have been saying for some time, let's pause it. Let the infrastructure and the housing and healthcare and roads and everything and schools, let it all catch up. Let us calibrate as a society, because more people doesn't necessarily mean a better standard of living. And I think young Aussies who are finding it hard to rent, let alone 100%. Buy a home or get a job or do anything that they expected they would do in their mid-20s, and they can see that migration is putting such a massive strain on our way of life. And it's
absolutely. See, I should be on this show. I should be on Sky News. I just basically said everything that they've said here. The more people that we bring in from overseas while we don't have the infrastructure results in a degrading effect on all of our lifestyles. Everybody's quality of life. Everybody, I want you to think for a moment, think back before the pandemic response, before they really started supercharging migration, even 10 years ago. Do you think that it was a lot easier to get by than what it is now? I'm telling you that any ounce of a doubt in my mind that it was. The country has changed 100%. Even 15 years back, say 2010, no, it was a good place to live. It was starting to go downhill, but it was still a really good place to live. Now everything is super expensive. All the essentials, all the utilities, people are just working to keep their head above water. So what do? We keep bringing in 500,000-600,000 people a year nationally into this country because they're not going to stop it. It doesn't matter how many people march or what people say online or anything. They've got a plan. They're going to do it. Keep bringing 600,000 people a year or more in. Every day, your quality of life gets worse and things get more expensive. Anyway.
Not racist to say that, and thank goodness they've actually come to the party and realised that's the case.
And it's interesting you mentioned Charlie Kirk because he spoke to so many Americans about the issue and the concerns around mass migration and the importance of having strong borders. And so although he spoke to so many young Americans, he also reached so many young Australians. So it'd be interesting to see whether he really played an influence, and as well as the fact that so many young Australians are really feeling the pinch and starting to wake up.
It's right, and it's a wake-up call to Canberra. They've made assumptions about this generation who are, in the newer cohort of voters, let's face it, 18 to 24, 25, and they have to really look at their policy now to say, well, we were more worried about the older generation saying they didn't want migration or mass migration. Now we have to address the younger people who are going to be the taxpayers and really building the society of the future of Australia.
And you look at the events over the weekend, people taking part in the March for Australia protests, and obviously, of course, there are some people who are very extreme, but a lot of very genuine Australians.
No, they're all racists who want all the Indian and Chinese and black people to go home, apparently. That's what I mean. I'm not going to say this anymore. I found myself saying it up until recently. I'm not a racist because of X, Y, and Z. It doesn't need to be said. You don't need to go and put disclaimers on whatever you're saying because you're not happy with the state of the country when blind Freddie can see what's going on here. Don't worry about these lefty lunatics. I'm not saying everyone who is left-leaning is a lunatic. I'm talking about these nutters we see on the streets throwing rocks and burning bins and all that sort of shit week in, week out. Don't worry about what they say. As the old tolerant left go, those fanatics, if you're not with them, you're against them. So I don't have to say, I'm not racist because my girlfriend's Sri Lankan. I'm not racist because my boyfriend's Chinese. I don't know. You don't have to say none of that shit. You're not racist because you say you don't want everything to be too expensive and you want your kids to have a standard of life that can even resemble what you had growing up, because that's long gone.
Really want to make sure Australia culture remains alive, and we don't rely on mass migration is, of course, the point there. But let's talk about the royal news, because it's been massive royal news over the weekend. Prince Andrew has officially given up his royal title of the Duke of York, along with his honours, following a discussion with his brother, King Charles.
Good old Prince Andrew. He's copping it. I'm sure he's regretting affiliating himself with good old the Lolita Express and Jeffrey Epstein. That's never going away. All right, let's move on. Final story today. Business owners are at their wits' end with protests in the Melbourne CBD. Good old current affair. Does not let you down.
Thousands of people walking past your shop doors. It sounds like a dream for retailers, but these business owners want them gone. They say the protests are relentless and they're dangerous. Short of protesting the protesters themselves, they feel there's nothing they can do.
It's enough. We've had enough. It's time for business to prevail.
I like how they show the March for Australia people there, like they're there every single week. I think they've done it twice or 3 times ever. It's the absolute nufties with this pro-Palestinian stuff that is going on every week. Yeah, okay, do it once, good on you. Every single week, Saturday and Sunday for 2 years, you can get stuffed. But they've got on current affairs trying to be balanced and making out that it's March for Australia people here every single week. And it is funny because they do actually make a funny comment towards the end here.
normal for a weekend in the Melbourne CBD.
We're all fed up. We've had enough.
There's plenty of foot traffic, but these visitors aren't welcome.
Melbourne is at risk, I suppose, of losing its one of its status as being a global...
Mate, that's long gone. Long gone. I wouldn't consider Melbourne one of the best places to live in the world. I don't know who's doing that ranking. Are we paying for it, are we?
Dynamic and livable city.
It's joints like the Congo with people running around, hitting each other and hacking each other up with machetes. Oh, shit, you're not. Yeah, best place to live.
Become known as the protest capital of Australia, with ugly marches and rallies through the city.
Melbourne once was a great city, and I've seen a lot of it, and it's been the biggest fall from grace, and it's truly frustrating. We might as well not even open on the weekends, because business has become that horrible, and we just have no traffic.
Josh Goodman has worked in the heart of the city for 10 years as a watch salesman. He says it's become a ticking time bomb.
You can't blame anyone, because who wants to come into the city when you can't move around, you can't even do anything? It's about time that we got some move-on laws.
Who's going into a retail store to buy a watch? I mean, I'm sure there are buffs out there who are right into it, and maybe he sells things you can't get offline, but surely this business isn't generating a lot of turnover. But hey, correct me in the comments. I'm just saying it off the top of my head. I've never gone and bought a watch in a shop.
It's time for the state government to stand up and actually do for the people.
Josh has been forced to barricade himself inside his shop before because of the violence.
Oh yeah, that's so violent. That's so violent, guys. You got to show that. Not these other fuckwits with the rocks and all that sort of shit. Burning shit.
He says it's time for change.
What can we do? There's nothing we can do, because we can't tell them not to come. There is no power. The cops can't even tell them. They can't move them on. And because of that, what do we get? We then get Nazis marching through the streets.
I'm just over it. I said, yeah,
we get Nazis marching through the streets. Yes, admittedly, that has happened a couple of times. Are we not bringing up pro-Palestine protest? I can't believe they're not even mentioning it. It's Nazis that get the call out. And I'm not pro-Nazi, yeah, absolutely, but I just think it's really one-sided journalism.
Started with the bushfires, then we went into COVID, and now for 2 years we have had protests every weekend.
Abby's family perfume business has operated in the city for more than 60 years. She says the current laws stink. Abby says she doesn't even bother opening her store on Sunday.
People don't come to the city anymore.
It isn't just because of the protests. Melbourne City is absolutely cooked. I'm there just about every single day, I'm telling you. I'm seeing junkies there all day, schizophrenics, people screaming, violent people banging and kicking windows and doors and bus stops and carrying on at Flinders Street train station. Bunch of fuckheads there every single day of the week. If you're a tourist and you go, oh, I'm going to go see Flinders Street station, like in the postcards, and you go there and there's a bunch of junkies or people starting trouble on the front steps there underneath all the clocks, what are you going to think about it? Not going to be going home telling everyone how great Melbourne was. I wouldn't want anyone in my family, my mother, or if I had sisters or anything like that, going into the city, going onto the trains at night time, absolutely the wild, wild west. Not safe at all. Joint is absolutely effed.
On the weekends, the government tells them to stay away, the police tell them to stay away. Take them somewhere else. Just take them somewhere else.
This is what was thrown at police today, and I think Melbourne has had a gutful.
This outburst from Acting Commander Wayne Cheeseman showing the frustration of police.
Was it an outburst, or it's just they called it theatre? Excuse me. I've seen people all over the internet, especially on Reddit, which is a real leftist echo chamber, say this police chief should be sacked because he's made it political and blah, blah, blah. What are you talking about? They had rocks thrown at him by you Muppets. You got people saying that all that stuff about those anti-racism protesters is fake. You got all this footage of it.
Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen today condemned the violence, but insists the city is safe.
Oh,
They
yeah.
shouldn't have had that level of violence.
Just like in Jaws, you know, and they knew that Jaws was out there eating everybody. Come to the beach. Let's try and sweep it under the rug.
Perpetrated on members of Victoria Police. That was just disgraceful.
In Sydney, protesters need a permit to block major roads or infrastructure. Otherwise, they face prosecution and hefty fines. Many are calling on the Victorian government to follow suit.
I would welcome that. Frankly, I would welcome any kind of action that is going to limit the protesters. And you know what? I'm not against protesting. I'm happy for anyone to come out and protest, but we don't need to see it every single week over the same issue.
So,
gee, fire up, son. Good on you, mate. That's probably him. That's his full level of rage. I'll be absolutely spitting chips if I owned a store in the city. If the government allows it, the government then should somehow, well, they're flat broke, but they should somehow compensate retail owners for loss of trade. Retail, hospitality, that rely on the foot traffic that is being scared off by all these idiots.
why don't we just look at that as a minimum? We'd also be suggesting that the protest should be redirected to elsewhere in the city. There's other venues that could be more accommodating and ensure less disruption for both businesses and residents as well.
Scott Vinca from the Committee for Melbourne.
I think that we want Melbourne to be a lively, dynamic and safe city where everyone feels welcomed. Some of these people who were protesting on the weekend, I think, had no intent to protest. They just wanted to cause disruption.
Retailers rejecting the business as usual approach.
Look, I love Melbourne. Melbourne's my home. I've been working in it my whole life. What do I think of it now? I'm hoping it's going to come back to life. The police need to be given more power.
Nah, too far gone.
The government needs to follow through on their promises.
Government needs to be overthrown. We've got a premier that no one even voted for. Did we vote for Jacinta Allen? Well, I didn't. She was just instated. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there before I go on a full-blown other rant. We're about half an hour in. Guys, thanks for watching. Let me know if the audio was better in this video. I know the last couple were a bit rough. I had a malfunctioning microphone, so apologies for that. And thanks to those of you who put up with that and came back to watch this video. Thank you.